Okie dokie guys, happy Saturday. Rainy, cold, yucky fall. Anyway, I'm working on frying pans today, or I'm trying to. Alright, I got myself some 11 gauge 10,008 or 11008, I guess you call it, carbon steel sheet, and I cut up a 12-inch disc out of this. This thing is so freaking heavy, it's scaring me. You know, that 14 gauge I thought was heavy, but man, there's a lot of steel in this one. When I cut that, I also cut a 14-inch. Holy mamas, this thing's heavy. I'm a little scared. The reason I thought I'd bring you along today is because it's a totally different thickness, right? Totally different beast that we're messing with today. And who knows, it might be something that you guys are looking into. So here's kind of how 11 gauge or 1/8 works on a frying pan. There's something I was going to say. I forgot what it was. I made myself up a little jig so I can cut a little better circles with my plasma cutter, a magnetic snap-on kind of thing. I'm able to, with that jig, to put score lines in too. So this inner score line is the inside diameter of the pan that I'm trying to make. It's going to leave me a 2-inch edge on the pan, I hope. So from here out, I'm hoping to put the bevel in. So let's get this thing heated up. With the weight of this pan, I think I'm going to have to stop and do some tongage here in the near future if I want to continue to do this, if this pan works out anyway. So let's see what we can do about moving this steel. Alright, I flipped my jig around the other way so you can kind of see what happens with it. I don't know if I can work that way for long, but we'll try. So again, using my same jig, we're going to just go back to that upsetting. I can't do it that way. Upsetting to bring that edge back and up at the same time. Oops. I guess that's a good thing. I gotta flip my jig around. Too bad for you. Also have laid the jig down like some of you guys recommended. We'll see what happens with that. Always in the market to try new things. Objective with this pan exercise today. Yeah, the 2-pounder ain't gonna cut it. Is to number one, to get more experience with the pans. Number two is this. I want to sell this pan for a lot of money. I want to sell this for $150 to $200. So I need to get to the point where it's of a quality and symmetry that I'm after, and within the time frame that I'm after. So that's kind of what I'm working on. So there's the first time around, just enough to get. Oh, I'm going to lose it in my tongue. Just enough to get that edge persuaded in the right direction. We'll go a little deeper on the next pass. Alright, on this next pass, what I want to do is get that inner line defined very well so that I have a relatively symmetrical pan. I don't really care what that does to the outside at this point. I just want pan defined. I can tell you right now, this is all going to lead to me creating a form that's exactly the right size. I'm telling you, it's crazy to do this, bouncing back and forth. But with this one, we're going to keep going. So again, my priority right now for quality is to get that inner circle exactly where I want. So I've been around once to define that circle, and now I'm going around again a little more aggressively. I have to maintain that circle. So I go around again a little more aggressively, making sure I don't go beyond that defined ring. So you can see all right, over here, I went around once and I defined that inner circle ring. Now I'm going around again, much more force, and you see I'm putting the flutes in, all right, but still making sure I don't violate that inner diameter. And then from there, once that's set, as long as I don't heat that inside up too much, I should be able to work these sides out. So there it is after 3 times around. The first time was just that little lip, which I don't think I need to do actually. The second time around was to define the inner circle. And then the third time around was to bring everything up as much as I can, making them into flutes that I can then later upset. And it turned out pretty good. What I don't want, and I know this from the other pans, is like this spot here. I don't know if you can see it, but it's a little higher on the inside here, kind of folded in. I can certainly straighten it out, but when you have that happen, once that pan is formed, that's going to be a spot that isn't flat on the inside. So I need to. I mean, I'm pretty happy with what happened. Now I need to go around and do all the upsetting of the outer edge to turn it into an actual pan. But and again, I'm trying to do this because I really like the idea of making pans. I need to do this more efficiently. And quite honestly, I think I should be able to do this in one step if I simply create some method to clamp, right? This should be an 8-inch inner diameter, started with 12, took away 2 on each side. So if I had 2 8-inch discs that I clamped together and then just totally fluted the end all the way around, in one shot, then I can come back and start doing the upsetting. I think that's where I want to go with this. I'm not sure how to do that. So I think what we're going to have right now is a need a tool, make a tool intervention in this particular pan. So I'm going to stop here for a second and think this through. Probably it will be on another video, but let's see. Point to keep in mind, at this point I have about 35 minutes into the pan. So half an hour with that much work's not too bad, and then probably another half an hour I'll have the edges done. So, you know, it's not horrible doing it this way. I just think that there's going to be a better way and a more defined. I mean, I'm very pleased with what I did with the circle here, but I just want to let you know it's only been about 35 minutes. I'm coming to you with a needed tool, make a tool. It scares me a little. It's kind of a complex thing, but I'm in the process of doing another frying pan video, and I've gotten to what I consider the first, I don't know, formed shape, and I did this by hand, and I'll probably release the video. This is 11 gauge, 1/8-inch stuff, so it's a heavy duty pan. But what I'd like to do is come up with a way to get to this point with a perfectly circular inside ring, fluted, ready to be upset into the actual rim of the pan. And I want to do that in like 1 or 2 simple steps. I think I can do that. And that's kind of what this tool, I hope, is going to be about. So here's my plan. Gosh, I hope this works. So I got this, I guess you call it a brake rotor, I don't know, or a broken drum, one of the two. And it looks like it's been broken. You know, it'd be cool if I could just find something perfectly the right size, but this is about 8.5-inch outer diameter, which I need for my 12-inch cut pans. I need 8-inch outside diameter for that ring. So I think I'm going to use this for my base. Whatever I do, I'm trying to also make it work when I do my 14-inch pans, which will give me a 12-inch inside pan. So I want to make sure everything allows for that. But at the same time, I don't know if the damn thing's going to work in the first place. So it's kind of goofy. So here's what I'm going to do. I have some 2-inch by 1/4. All right. I'm going to go ahead and forge that into an 8-inch outside diameter ring. And I'm going to weld that right onto the top of this. I'm going to reinforce it and maybe put a piece of plate across the top of it just to fill it all in. And ultimately would be an 8-inch disc sitting reinforced 2 more inches off the top of this thing. Then what I want to do is make another ring, which is 8-inch diameter. I think I'm going to use 1/2-inch square for that. And then put a plate on that also and reinforce it. So the idea is, I know this isn't the 12-inch, but when it comes time to forming, to get to this fluted shape right here. I can go ahead and set my 12-inch plate on there, clamp down the top plate, all right, and then go ahead and hammer all the way around the flutes. So the idea is this gets here, I set it on, it's flat, I clamp it down so everything's secure, and then I just go ahead and put my flutes all the way around and work this inside ring. Then I can take that back to the forge and do the handwork on the flutes. I think that'll be a good idea. I think it might, I don't know if I can go ahead and get it here, get it clamped down and hammered all the way around in one heat, but I might be able to do it in two, and it certainly isn't going to be, you know, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, maybe 7 heats times, I went around 3 times, I could probably do it twice, you know, that's 14 heats. If I can do it in 2 heats and get to this point, I think at first I'm going to have a much cleaner ring on the inside and a better bottom to work with. So that's what we're going to do. Let me get some steel cut up and we'll go from there. I think I did my math wrong because I counted this as a 1/2-inch stick rather than a 1/4. So anyway, working it out from the center line once the circle's formed, 23.56 is about the size I wanted. But I'm contemplating actually going into the propane forge now and use this as a form. It's not the right diameter, but it dang should get us pretty close to where we want to be. And then maybe go into the coal forge because I can't heat this whole area on the coal forge, and I can get this done in one bend. So I'm going to go ahead. Let's work this one first. We'll get it in there. We'll bend it around this form, and then we'll clean it up. I think on the coal forge after that. Of course, I'm almost out of propane, so I don't know if I got enough heat on this, but we're going to give her a go anyway. See what happens. Start on this circle. Save a little. That's not horrible. Give us a little start. That's all she wrote for the 1/2-inch. I'm sure this will look pretty damn silly if you ask me, but get it right on it. So, get a butt on these son of a gun. Bastard. If I hadn't used the propane for heat this morning, probably would have had something to work with. No, we are way too tight. Okay. Chandler sure does struggle lots. See if we can bend on this now. Started. Please get her started. Little at a time. See why I like that propane forge. makes this part of the job a heck of a lot easier when you're working with longer stock, that's for sure. One more. Hopefully this is the last heat we need to do. Gotta swear, guys. What we'll do now, go over to the forge, close the ring up, get them welded, and then continue on. Let's see if we stand any chance of getting this thing rounded up. See how horrible we are. Going for that other piece. What do we got here? We are looking at a little short on 8 there, a little short on 8 there. Well, we're in 1/8 of an inch. That's the only high spot I see right there. Gosh. Well, it's proof of concept, and if I need to, I'll have some. I'll do something else to make it perfect. It sure does look good. Long quarter, long quarter, quarter. Long quarter, long quarter. Someplace I got a flat spot. Long quarter. I don't think I can do any better. Not for me anyway. Alright, let me get the other one rounded up and we will be back. There's our 2 rings. The top one doesn't need to be near as perfect as the bottom one, but they're darn close, that's for sure. I'm okay with it for this attempt. A lot of freaking work to make that happen when you can't heat the whole piece. Heat the whole piece, you're done in just a few seconds. It's just, I don't know. Don't know. Alright, we're gonna let those do what they gotta do. Let's see, we gotta clean them up and get them mounted, I guess. Unfortunately, and I figured this would happen, this darn ring fits inside there. I wanted to weld it to this to give me a little extra meat and support, so I don't know what I'm gonna do about that. But the idea is that ring goes down, the flat disc gets on top, this clamps it down, and then I'll just go around with the hammer and put those flutes in, hopefully keeping everything where I want it to be. So now I got to figure out how to just keep this structurally mounted. Also, I nosed over this edge quite a bit so that we're not making too many marks in the pan. Let me think about what I got to do. So I just I put a bunch of tacks and bring this together. Again, this is kind of prototype 1, so I'm not going to be too worried about it. The question I have now is, do I want to put cross bracing and a cap on this so when I go to set my steel on, there's a solid platform there? I don't think I need it, quite honestly. I think I can just set this thing right on there, put my clamping mechanism in, and then all the way around the outside. When I do try to bend that steel down, though, this inside is going to want to come up, so I definitely need a bottom on this. I think that's the next thing I'm going to do. Go ahead and put some supports in here crosswise, which will give me something to push against, and then I'm going to cut and put a piece of sheet on the bottom of this. Got the top plate reinforced. I don't think I need to reinforce this bottom one at all. Again, set the plate on top of there. I'll have some mechanism to clamp it down when I get done. But the next thing I want to do is go ahead and throw a piece of sheet on the bottom of this, just to, gosh, do I even need it? I probably don't even need it. Do I? what's it gonna do? It's gonna help some rolling in these. Ah, hell, we'll do it. I'll put, some 14 gauge or something in there. Opportunity to show off my latest invention. This is the jig that I made for cutting the plates in the first place. The idea is that I have a little magnetic clip here that I can go ahead and center on my center point or somewhere thereabouts. Drop this in. I need an 8-inch circle. It's supposedly an 8-inch circle. A little short of 8 inches. And I can go ahead and adjust this out. Let's see, I want a little shorter 4, don't I? So we'll go with like a 4-inch center. I'm eyeballing it, but you get the idea. A little bit farther out. Something like that. You clamp that down. And then as I'm cutting, I can just zip this sucker right around and everybody's happy. So let me get the torch ready. I've only used this thing a couple of times so far, but it's just to cut those 2 plates out that I'm working on. But it seems to work pretty well. Why that one causing so much grief, but there you go. Nice circle, huh? So as we get to learn each other and fine tune, that's going to be a handy little tool. Another make a tool. You need a tool, make a tool. Just like that. Alrighty, how close? Because that second cut seemed to be smaller. We're good. Just what I wanted. Just enough room to get in there. Alright, let me weld that up. Tack that sucker in place somewhere in here like that. Just to keep her still. I'm going to put it from the bottom actually. Might want to turn our gas on though. Dumbass. Don't need much. I think that's a good trick right there. Grind off our little tacks here. We are in progress of something, I'll tell you. Just let us have it. Got, I think everything I need for the frame. Now I need, or the support. Now I need to create some type of frame with a crank. It's like a vise to crank it on down. Well, if it wasn't for me being a dumbass, this thing wouldn't have been nearly the trouble that it was. So this is the design I went with. Alright, I have this C-clamp kind of thing in here. Alright, this goes in here. So the concept is, although I would have to make a different top and a different ring, an insert to go over this ring for a 14-inch pan. You'd slide that in, get it lined up into the center, which I would have my the ring that I had around the outside would be my alignment point. Clamp that thing down while it's hot and start going to freaking town on it and just pulling those sides down. So, I mean, that was the concept I was going for. Like I said, if I wasn't so stupid, you can see here why you might think I was stupid. This wouldn't have done nearly the work. So I guess what we'll do now is I'll cut up another 12-inch disc, and we'll give her a go. We'll see what happens. If we can get that thing to be in this condition in 2 heats or less, I'd say that the idea works, and we might just have to modify it a little bit. Alright, for the first test, I'm just going to use some 14 gauge plane. I'm not going to cut out another carbon steel one. Except for one thing. Impressive. What I didn't do is I didn't freaking leave the magnet in the center so that I could go ahead and score in my bend line. So I got it, I believe, where center is right now. Usually I mark it before I do the cut, but we are, yeah, where you need to be. So what I need to do now is just move this thing in 2 inches. I want a 2-inch lip. So we'll mark, leave that in there like that. And then if I get all my crap out of the way here, we should. Are you still in the seam? No. I should be able to just go ahead and run this around a few times and put a score in. Not really a score, but well, enough of a mark anyway. So, enough that you can see it when it's in the pot. Alright, now, that's done. The concept is once I get the whole pan hot, I don't really need the center hot, but it's okay because we've compensated for that with the jig. That whole pan comes in, I center the pan on my score marks like this. That should automatically have me pretty damn close to center on the bottom. Yep, that feels good. So this gets centered on the score marks, crank it down as fast as I can so that it's held in there, and then go around and start putting that whole scallop hopefully in one heat. Alright, I'm sure this is going to bounce around a little bit, but until I get used to it, I don't know, might work. Here goes nothing. I wish I could get this pan so that it was more evenly heated, but it is what it is. And over here, align it about where I want it to be. Get this thing lined up in the scores. And then in the center, crank it down. And let's see what we can do. Not bad, huh? Not bad at all. Now I can go ahead and start working the flutes, compressing that a little bit, and then bring it back in anytime I want. Reset it, and line everything back up. Let me spend a little time on it, and I'll come back and see what happens. All right, after one time around, upsetting those fluted areas, we're going to come back. If I can heat it again, throw her back in there, and get that center put back in, and see what it looks like. I mean, it's at this point I'm maintaining my center, and that's the biggest part of this step. Next step is to figure out how to get those edges up quicker. The next thing to do is to figure out how to heat that whole gosh darn pan. at one time with my forge, because it just doesn't work that way. But get that on there. We already have center, so we shouldn't have to do a whole lot of work on that. It's just figure out a way to get that sucker hotter, because this is only a 12-inch original pan. So imagine how much work the 14 is going to be. There it is. Alright, again, the key to this part of the tool is to keep that center round. Alright? And that's exactly what it's doing. So I'm pleased with it. We still need to go a step farther. We got to figure out how I can work those quicker. It'd be cool if this were a manual that I could actually work on. Get it clamped in there and then start upsetting that steel. I mean, you got to either drop the bottom or upset the outside. And that's where we're at. And at this point, I can keep doing. It's not hurting me as far as time in the other method. The key though is I got a nice flat bottom with no hammer marks, and I think I can continue to do that to make this pan up. So that's all I'm going to show you today, because I've spent enough time on the tool. But hopefully we'll see some more pans in the future with that thing and the rest of the implements that I put together to make this happen. What I'm thinking I'd like to do next is, this is the 11 gauge pan. Instead of flipping it over and upsetting these inside crimps, I'd like to upset these outside crimps. And that way all my hammer marks are on the outside. So I think the next thing to do is to create a mandrel where I can work this outside crimp over a mandrel, very much like my other tool. Hold on. Like this tool that I used in one of the previous videos, except have it, you know, geez, 2 inches, where am I? 2 inches wide. All right, so I got a full working surface, so I can go ahead and lay this. And again, I'd make one for, at this point I'm doing 2 pans, a 12, starting with 12 inch to start with 14. So a 10 inch pan and a 12 inch pan, where I can go ahead and have this mandrel and have it cover this entire area and heat that up and upset that, because these outer crimps I think will come together and be a lot easier to work than trying to work it on the inside on a flat. Upsetting it on the outside and around is the right way to go, I think. So we're getting a little farther. That was just, you know, to get to this point, which was where I got on the first try with this thing. It took 3 attempts, I believe, 3 or 4 heats. And I did a pretty good job of keeping my round, but it was all by eye, and it took a lot of extra effort to do that. In this case, see how hot this is yet. That round is guaranteed. All right, it's right there. The only thing I'm a little worried about is once I get this folded over enough. Ouch, that's hot there. Do I have enough clearance to get the damn pan out? I don't know if I do. But we're going to learn. Alright, I hope you enjoyed the video. Started off as me trying to make some pans. I got my welding hat on. Dang it. I can't do it. I can't do it with my welding hat on. We'll say goodbye this way. How about that? Alright, fix your hair, a little vanity, you know what I mean? Started off making the starting to work with the 1/8 inch stuff. Nice heavy pan. It's going to be awesome when I figure it out. And I realized, don't, it's time to make a tool. So step one was the, whatever you call it, all right, the crimp manual. Step two is going to be something else. Hope you enjoyed it. Sorry I didn't like end in a, I got something in my nose, don't I? Oh well. End in a finished product climactic thing. But, you know what? Every step, every step. If you found this video helpful, educational, maybe even if you just found it entertaining, and you want to support me, you can jump back to my channel. There's a button on the right hand side of the screen called support, and it's kind of like a tip jar. You can go ahead and leave channel a tip for this video, and that'll help me make some more, I guarantee. Thanks for your support, as always.